Huddle Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
I will ride with this group.
Seriously, man. Please.
And away we go.
Well, the Vikings got a guy fired. And Judd, you were 100% on the scent for the last 2 weeks that Robert Saleh's job was indeed at stake in London. You were wrong that he did get on the plane, so you were wrong about that part. But
no, I thought he'd be fired on the plane. Like, it sounds like they came in today and fired him Tuesday morning. What I was hoping for was over the ocean. They're like, hey, you're fired. Sorry.
Robert, why don't you open that door right there?
Yeah. Get out. Get out right now. I don't want to get out. Yeah, you got to get out. You knew when Aaron Rodgers went to the podium after the game and fell on the sword that he was going to make a quick phone call to the powers that be at the Jets and said, okay, I take responsibility for that. Get rid of this buffoon. Yeah. You knew that was going to happen. This guy is a good DC. I don't think he's probably, he might be in a long list of guys who are not cut out to be head coaches. But my God, when you're a defensive guy now and you are coaching or you're the head coach for Aaron Rodgers, the second he decides you're the problem, you are gone.
Yeah, I'm not ready to say that Robert Saleh is never going to be a head coach again. I mean, Todd Bowles got a second act after a disastrous Jets stint. It's just it's a train wreck, knee-jerk, awful organization. I heard this morning or yesterday on one of the national shows that the Jets have scored as many points per game this year with Aaron Rodgers as last year with Zach Wilson. So it's the whole operation's a disaster. We will get into the Vikings conversation here. They just got a guy fired. We're going to talk about the state of the offense here. It's a state of the offense Tuesday. We'll go through PFF grades later on. We should be joined by our guy Randy Vikes 69 for the 5th consecutive stud stable to start the season here. Let me take a sip out of my Justin Jefferson souvenir cup here, courtesy of Pepsi, 32 ounces. Tastes like victory, gentlemen. That cup is available, and a bunch of you have been tweeting photos of the new 32-ounce Pepsi souvenir cup from the Hy-Vee Fast and Fresh locations. Keep sending me those photos. There's a QR code, and I'm choking on the water. It's not the cup. It's my sensitive throat here, apparently. There's a QR code on the cup where you can enter to win Victor's Ride, a glorious Vikings-themed Polaris ATV that our guy Jason from Egan won last year. They brought it right to his house. CJ Ham, Victor, the Skull line. So go get your Justin Jefferson souvenir cup. Enter to win Victor's Ride. All of it courtesy of Pepsi. You can get those cups inside local Hy-Vee Fast and Fresh locations. Are you guys ready to talk some Vikings offense?
Yeah, let's hear it.
So every week, every Tuesday, we go through our state of the offense categories and discussion. A little rickety in this one. People are just a little bit wary about what they saw in the second half especially, but let's go through it. So where does the Vikings offense rank overall through 5 games now? Points per game, 6th. All of these are down from the previous week, by the way. Yards per play, 15th. They were 7th a week ago, so they've tumbled after only like 3.8 yards per play on the season. Offensive expected points added, 14th. Offensive DVOA, 20th. Those are the analytical categories. Third down conversion rate, 13th. Red zone touchdown rate, 5th. So they're still converting at a high level in the red zone. Turnover rate, 26th, because they still tend to turn the ball over too much.
That's a problem.
So not quite as powerfully ranked offensively as the previous week. So that brings us to the first category here of discussion, which is the Vikings formula for winning. I think it's safe to say, unless you guys want to fight this at this point, the Vikings formula for winning is defense, defense, defense. It's almost like the Timberwolves last year, where the defense is crazy good, number 1 in the NBA, just like Vikings are number 1 in the NFL. Mm-hmm. And the offense is going to show some flashes, but it just needs to kind of do enough to maybe put 20 or 24 points across the board. That's kind of where I'm at after a month and a half, is I'm not looking at the offense to carry this team at this point. The defense is the heartbeat of these wins, and the offense is doing what it can to put 20 points on the board.
Yes, but I think it needs to be less reliant on the defense. Now, Hawkinson's going to come back either a week from Sunday against the Lions, the Thursday against the Rams. He'll be back soon. I think that's going to help a ton because it's going to provide an outlet for Darnold to throw the ball to, and it adds another element to, if this makes sense, the depth of the passing game potentially. Now, that being said, of all the stats that you just read off, the turnovers and in particular lost fumbles in particular drives me crazy because this team spent training camp working on that very thing. And if you look at it on Sunday, Darnold's going to throw picks. We cannot say it's pie in the sky to say, well, he just has to stop throwing picks. But no one has to fumble. And the pitch from Darnold to Chandler, which is a fumble charged to the quarterback, but is as much on Chandler probably, if not more, is exactly the type of play and mistake that cannot happen. It can certainly not happen to where it's dragging you down to near the bottom of the league when it comes to how much you are coughing up the football. That concerns me. But the other thing is, and this is what I think, and Aaron Jones not being hurt would play a huge role here, is I think O'Connell's going to have to, if he is going to, and clearly he has to, ride the Darnold train, I think he's going to have to pull back on the deep shots. And not entirely, or the passing. Not entirely, but with Aaron Jones playing, you now have a running game. You now have a screen game. You have things that work. And I think the fourth down play on Sunday is a very instructive play. It's what, fourth and a couple? 4th and 2, 33, if I believe the Jets' 33-yard line. And you decide to take a deep shot there with Sam Darnold. Is that really the right call? Because the Jets are good. Like if you're playing a flimsy defense, then I sort of get that, but the Jets are good at this. So I think part of this is going to be incumbent on O'Connell himself taking a look within at what he wants to do, and probably as the season progresses, what is realistic. Because yes, the defense is great. Right now, it's my humble opinion, they're being asked to do too much, though. I don't expect them to be bad, but I also think that this team has enough offensive weapons that it needs to be more productive than certainly it's been the last 6 quarters.
It feels like, even though I don't love a week 5, week 6 bye, I don't love that it's this early in the season. I would prefer this to be like a few more weeks out just to kind of basically break the seasons in halves. It does feel like this is a good time to reset and self-scout, though. Like, Sam Darnold has really struggled over the last 6 quarters. Yes, the defense has been great, but they get a little bit of a rest here. I think the thing that probably concerns me, too, especially over these last 2 games, the offense, is weighty downs, as we talked about early on, where the first 3 games, the Vikings were great in third down situations, those weighty down situations. Over the last 2, they're converting just 33% of third down. So a lot of 3 and outs, not many sustained drives, not moving the ball down the field a little bit more. So it is funny that we have an offensive-minded coach that has definitely, over the last 5 games, has propped up a quarterback that was deemed a bust. But the Vikings' formula for winning right now, and maybe even long-term, is defense and not necessarily offense.
Well, and maybe we can spend some time trying to calibrate what should the expectation for the offense be now that we've seen a month and a half of this defense. So, like, everything that you guys are saying, and Judd, like, your critiques, I don't disagree with them. I mean, those are all valid, and I do think I watched that game too, thinking 2 or 3 times, I don't know if I would throw a ball 30 yards down the field here. Like, it kind of feels like all gas, no brakes in certain situations where you could. So I have some nitpicks as well about the process, but at the end of the day, the offense is 6th in scoring with Sam Darnold as the starting quarterback. And so if you zoom out and go back a few months ago and say, hey, J.J. McCarthy is not going to play this year. Sam Darnold is going to be the starting quarterback. And you don't know what it looked like or how it got there, but after the first 5 weeks, the Vikings offense is going to be 6th in scoring. Now, they do have 2 defensive touchdowns, so that's skewing it, because the points per game include the 2 Andrew Van Ginkel pick sixes. So if you took those out, they'd probably slide down a little bit closer to 10th or whatever. I think we would all take that. But if we take all these same categories and flip them to the defense, this is crazy. We all thought, they were like 15th or 13th in scoring defense last year. They could maybe be a top 10 defense. I don't know what the national media is looking at. They got some good players here, right? None of us could have expected what I'm about to tell you guys. Expected points added, first defensively. DVOA, another analytical categorization, first and historically good through the first 5 games. Yards per play allowed, fourth. Scoring defense, fourth. And that's facing Niners. It's facing Texans, Packers at Lambeau. Pressure rate, second. Sacks, second. And maybe my favorite, opposing quarterbacks have a 70.3 passer rating against the Vikings defense. Christian Ponder's career passer rating was 6 points higher than that. Mm-hmm. So this defense has turned the collective opposing quarterbacks into a worse version of Christian Ponder through the first 5 games. And they have faced Brock Purdy, C.J. Stroud, Jordan Love, Aaron Rodgers in those games. So if that's the defensive baseline we are looking at, even if they regress a little bit, what do our offensive expectations need to be going forward for this team out of the bye?
I think they need to revolve around Darnold and what you're going to ask of him consistently. And I don't think that we can assume the first month of the season is really him now. So I think the expectations are, I'm not asking for like more flair, more flash. I'm asking for fewer pieces of flair here. I'm saying if Aaron Jones is playing, you've got ways where you can still execute what you want if you're O'Connell without trying to go on a tour of I'm going to show you exactly what my offense can do, because I feel like those are the things, like if you get to the playoffs, okay, and you have a fumble or 2 lost and you have a risky Darnold pass or 2 get picked because you in turn are playing a good team yourself. I don't know that you can ask the defense just save us. So if our expectations, which they clearly are at 5-0, are going up, I am asking Darnold to be managed a little bit more responsibly without an assumption that September is now him, truly.
Well, that's a good segue into the second category, which is the state of Sam Darnold. So I'll give you kind of where he ranks in some key categories, and it's slipped from 2 weeks ago to this week, where he was like first in passer rating. Now he's 6th in passer rating. He's 15th in QBR. He's 10th in expected points added, 5th in yards per attempt, so still chunking the ball down the field.
Yep.
22nd in PFF grade, so PFF actually kind of hates him. Big time throw percentage, 11th. Digging deeper here, so when he's pressured, it's bad. When he's kept clean, generally he's been really good so far.
Sure.
So he has a 113 passer rating when kept clean in the pocket, 77 passer rating when he's pressured. He averages 9.5 yards per attempt when kept clean, 4.5 yards per attempt when pressured. He has a 72% completion rate when clean, 42% when pressured.
Sure.
Now, every quarterback's performance dips when they're pressured, but this is like a bigger dip than most quarterbacks. So does that performance on Sunday, how nervous does it make you, I guess? That we kind of touched on this a little bit yesterday, but how nervous are you that, oh man, the carriage has now turned into a pumpkin forever?
I think if he's managed correctly, I am less nervous about it. What sort of concerns me the most here is I believe it was his first season in Carolina. This sort of happened. Like he got off to a hot start, played well.
He lost McCaffrey, right?
And then it regressed. But the point, but the point is, I don't think it has to be terrible. I just think what I've seen in the last 6 quarters is O'Connell's, if I can put it this way, and I think it's an accurate statement, sort of stubbornness about what he wants to do with a quarterback who might not be capable. I mean, ideally, look, what Kevin O'Connell is trying to do right now will work perfectly with J.J. McCarthy, right? He's your first-round pick. He's going to be the guy who I think is going to be, knock on wood, your starting quarterback for a long time. So I don't think it needs to be bad. Does it make me a little bit concerned, Dex? Yes, absolutely it does. If you're going to continue to ask him to do something I think might be outside of his comfort zone enough and cost you a game.
So I always love, and sometimes it's a cop-out, but I always love to look at comparisons here. Like, what have other teams done in similar situations like this? What other blueprints could you follow? And I think the one that just kind of quickly comes to mind of what the 2024 Vikings look like is maybe similar to what the Niners looked like in 2019 with Jimmy Garoppolo. So that was a smash you in the face defense that beat up on a bunch of teams. It had Jimmy, who was a good but certainly not great quarterback, but a big game manager with a ton of weapons around him, propped up by really good coaching. And Jimmy now, at the end of the day, like if he makes one big throw in that Super Bowl, the Niners win that game, but he overthrows them. I think when you look at what the Niners did in 2019, and even the numbers like are very similar to what Sam is projected to have over the course by the end of the season. Is that a fair assumption? Can he be Jimmy Garoppolo in this offense?
Yeah.
And I by the way, I think he can. I totally think
he is so
can.
far. Yeah. And by the way, Garoppolo, about once every 4 or 5 games, I'll bet if you look through that game log, even with the Niners, kind of crapped himself, right?
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Including in the second half of the Super Bowl. Yeah, and also I would note that there are just going to be some defenses. The Jets are one of them. The Bears, by the way, might be another, and you got 2 games against them, that you're going to have a hard time moving the football against unless you have someone better than Sam Darnold. I mean, Darnold's really talented, but he is still very much like feeling his way around being an actual high-end NFL quarterback in a system, confidence. So I gave you that Vikings defense passer rating stat. The Jets so far this year have held opposing quarterbacks to a 73 passer rating, which is also below the Christian Ponder line. Mm-hmm. So the Jets do this. And I mean, it's definitely a little bit of a red flag that, okay, yep, that version of Sam Darnold is still in there that just like is wildly inaccurate, below 50% completions. But I think he's going to have like 3 or 4 of these games. I think he's going to have one against the Bears at some point, and then we'll kind of see. But I don't expect this to be the norm going forward. I think the way he played in the first 4 games is closer to the baseline than what we saw against the Jets.
If you make the playoffs, though, that's my point about O'Connell is you can't just say, well, he might have one of those games. You've got
you don't have a choice though.
But you've got to help him out but you do. You don't have to ask him to do what O'Connell thinks that he wants to do. O'Connell has to say, I'm going to have Sam do what I think he can do. So like that's the difference. Because the Jets and Bears, you're right. But it's my opinion that the coach has to play a role then as far as the game plan for Sam Darnold against the Jets shouldn't have been the same plan as it was against a defense that you consider exploitable.
But Judd, like the Niners ran, I love the Jimmy Garoppolo thing because the Niners ran it. It's the same thing where you've got a guy that he's talented, he's pretty athletic, and you've got a nice offensive line and some weapons. And, 4 out of every 5 games, he's going to drive that thing pretty well. I just pulled up Jimmy Garoppolo's 2019 game log. He had a dud in week 3 where he threw a couple interceptions, a dud in week 6 with a 59.8 passer rating, another dud against Seattle in week 9. So like once every 3 or 4 weeks, it was some turnovers, sacks, a bad passer rating. And there's no happy ending. Like they got to the playoffs. He was fine for a little bit, but they had training wheels on him. And at the end of the day, like you're probably not going to beat Patrick Mahomes with a quarterback with training wheels.
Except a simple fix. If you're playing a team that has a good defense, the depth of the pass has to go down. You can't ask him to drive the ball. He will drive you into the ground. You got to get rid of the ball quicker. Like these are things, if you drop him back and say, Justin Jefferson's downfield, hit him, and you're playing a really good defense with cornerbacks, you are setting Darnold up to fail. So I think it's the depth of the pass. You have to adjust your philosophy to give him a chance. That's my point. So
I think Kevin would say against a defense like that, you're not gonna have 14 play drives where you matriculate because they're gonna stop you. So you might as well look for 2 home run shots and hope that you can score that way.
I think Kevin and I would disagree on that. I think you got to use.
Well, look at their last drive.
Run,
they hit 2 huge chunks on their last drive to get the field goal.
Actually, the Jefferson pass, I looked. It wasn't as big a chunk as I thought. The Munt pass was.
That Jefferson thing was like a 20-yard long developing play.
Shorter than that. But anyway, I think you are setting. I think right now what I've seen in the last 6 quarters is basically thinking that the Darnold of September is him now, and I think that he needs more help. So
how can you prevent against the short circuits?
And perhaps you can't. Like he might just have some blow up games. But I also feel like the Jets game could have been managed a little bit more. But I agree completely is this defense has been lights out. And the one thing that I would really like to see is the Vikings cut the fumbles down. Because that to me is eminently fixable.
We need everyone to just walk around the facility, even on bye week. If you're going on vacation, you're going to the Bahamas, put a football in your
Chandler
kitchen.
like bugs me because it's like that should not be that tough. Like that should not be that play.
So I've got some Aaron Jones, Ty Chandler stuff here that is striking for this next category. But before we get there, let's talk about our golf game here, Dex. If you're in the market for a new set of clubs here, fall golf, by the way, is going to be in effect for at least the next month and a half.
I'll be below the border playing around this Saturday morning in Iowa. I'm very excited for it. I have my PXG clubs, which I've been able to now swing for a few times. They have the Black Ops irons. They have different sets of irons and hybrids and woods as well. And if they can get Dex tweets to make consistent contact with a hybrid, I am confident they can also fix your game, okay? So if I can do that, you can do that as well. You can go take the PXG Irons Challenge. They have locations all over the place, and even a special offer, too, for Purple Daily listeners, pxg.com/purple. And for a limited time, you can save $10 per club by going to pxg.com/purple. Upgrade your golf game, and even if you have to sit on those clubs as winter comes around, Go somewhere nice and warm. Go swing those golf clubs around. pxg.com/purple. Upgrade your golf game.
Yeah. Judd, how's the tune-up? How's the Livia tune-up going?
It's going perfectly. In fact, down 13 plus pounds. That's right. Sports Dad said, you know what? I've gained a couple of pounds back. Don't like that. And so look at that guy right there. This is what my friends at Livia Weight Control Centers can do for you. I'm going to tell you right now, the program works. It's as simple as possible. The one-on-one support that you get is absolutely fantastic. Join their plan today. Their nutrition plan, you're going to get your first 8 weeks for free. That's right, first 8 weeks for free. Imagine as winter comes, dropping weight, not gaining it, because you know what? We all tend to pack on some pounds this time of year. If you want to follow in Sports Dad's footsteps and drop some weight as well, just check them out. 855-GO-LIVEA.com, Livia.com. Livia.com will help you drop those unwanted pounds.
Okay, the third of 4 state of the offense categories here. We've kind of touched on Aaron Jones, and we still don't really have any information yet because I don't believe the Vikings have done Tuesday media sessions yet. So
they have not. You're right.
We're kind of flying blind on the actual status of Aaron Jones, and we might be week to week on that anyways. But the impact of Aaron Jones cannot be stated enough. And then when you start to compare him to Ty Chandler, it tells even more of a story. So Aaron Jones versus Ty Chandler. Aaron Jones is the 4th highest graded running back in the NFL, PFF, out of 59 qualified running backs. 4th highest rated. Ty Chandler, 54th out of 59. Aaron Jones is 10th in yards after contact per attempt. Ty Chandler is dead last in yards after contact per attempt. So Aaron Jones absorbs contact and pinballs for more yards. Ty Chandler does not so far this season. Jones is 15th in yards per attempt overall among 59 running backs. Ty Chandler is 45th. And this might be my favorite. Now, Aaron Jones gets more carries, but Aaron Jones has 16 missed tackles forced. Ty Chandler, 2 missed tackles forced. And Aaron Jones is more of a factor in the pass game, pass protection game, all those things. So screen game. So it's problematic if he's in. Now, when they signed him, I think we all agreed probably not going to play 17 games based on his history.
Yeah.
And maybe this is the time where he gets dinged up and misses a few games. But yeah, there's a huge difference between Aaron Jones and Ty Chandler and the impact that they have on this offense.
Boy, was I wrong here. boy, was I wrong.
You
Record this,
you wanted
mark this
Ty
down,
Chandler.
Mark this down. What's up?
I have the clip actually that I'm about to load in here of Judd talking about Ty Chandler versus Aaron Jones from last March when the signing was made.
wow,
So
nice
pontificate, and I'll load
Yes,
this in here.
definitely
in just
get
a
it.
minute.
Definitely get it.
Judd nailed the Robert Saleh thing.
Yeah, I've nailed something.
did.
And
but
he's
I'm saying
nailed a bunch of things.
I
but
need
he
to say
did
when I'm
not nail
wrong.
this.
I need to say when I'm wrong. And look, I thought Ty Chandler, well, I still think he deserves a chance, but I thought that he could ascend to being, at his age and some experience now, the top running back on this team. And, Jones is nearing that cliff of 30. Now, when they got him, I didn't realize that his workload actually is not that high for his age and experience. Injuries are a problem, but the difference that dude makes in this offense as a whole to make the engine go. So if he doesn't touch the ball, he makes a difference. Yeah. And Chandler, I mean, he's turning out to be a guy. I mean, he's got great speed, turning out to be a guy, but yeah, let's play this if Dex has a set. And I actually want to bring up an idea quickly after we see me embarrass myself completely on this opinion.
So this was a clip as it's processing and loading in here on StreamYard. This was a clip when we were talking about the Aaron Jones signing, and I basically said I think this is the guy that can help fix the running game, and Judd was very much still team Ty Chandler here. So here's the clip. It's about a minute long. Aaron Jones is actually year 1A, and this does, at least to a degree, hopefully fix Kevin O'Connell's issues that he has had in his running game, whether he's been a head coach or coordinator.
My problem with that is Chandler is your first and second down guy, and Jones is a great third down guy. And so if because I can't play Chandler on third down yet.
You can. It's not just like first, second down, and third down. It's the Vikings were rotating series. They were, it would be Alexander Madison for 2 series, Ty Chandler for 1 series.
But that's because both weren't great at blocking. Like pass pro on third down, I want Jones there.
But why can't Jones be a 1A and play on third down?
Well, he can, but then when's Chandler going to rotate in occasionally? I want Chandler to play. 2024 is about you are developing guys too. Ty Chandler deserves a chance.
Wow, the
it wasn't
disrespect.
as bad as I thought, but I was still wrong.
It wasn't
as bad as I thought, but I
still think this is a great forum for you to apologize to
Aaron
Jones' family.
And by the way, he's a great. In addition to being an impact player with or without the ball on the field, locker room wise, if you believe in that stuff, which I personally do, he is fantastic. I had no idea. I mean, he comes off. I don't obviously know him personally, but just a great guy. So, yeah, I was 100% wrong. Now, it wasn't as harsh as I thought, and I do think Chandler deserved a chance, but to what Declan and you said at the time, I mean, Aaron Jones had far more left in the gas tank, which is why I'm going to throw this out. If Aaron Jones is injured for a few games, or there just becomes a general concern about, there might be a problem here, is that a place that you guys explore at the deadline? Because there's not a lot out there as far as guys on the street at running back go. And if you have concerns, are you now concerned? This is not a Jones thing. This is more of a Chandler thing. Are you concerned enough about Chandler and what he can and cannot do that you explore getting somebody else behind Jones?
I'm going to just comb through, this is going to be a top-of-the-head experiment.
I feel like the street free agent list right now at running back is really, really thin, so you're not going to get anything and,
Well, I mean, you'd be talking about... Gaskin. Yeah, I mean, are you talking about getting an actual guy that you could lean on? If, let's say, Aaron Jones is out for 2 months or something?
I'm saying if he gets hurt and is out, do you get a guy that you feel that you can trust more, might not be as good or might not bring everything that Jones brought, but I'm sort of saying that Chandler, I now have concerns. I wanted to see more, and I feel like I've seen more, and I'm like, okay, I get the problem. And plus, back then, I mean, flat out, I never thought that this team would be undefeated through 5 games and now look like a real threat as opposed to 2024 being a developmental year.
I think you'd have to comb through the really bad teams in the NFL and see, are there any running backs that might have 1 year left on their deal that the team doesn't want to pay or something, and then could you flip a 5th round pick? Because I'm not trading a 1st round pick.
Oh, hell no.
Now, there's a couple of guys that are interesting. Like Nick Chubb is going to come back at some point for the Browns, but he's also like coming off a devastating injury. But they're 1-4. I don't know, man. There's no obvious guys out there that, if there was like a Derrick Henry toiling on a bad team that could come and elevate you,
Well,
I'd consider it.
He sort of was, and now he's toiling on a good team.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
you're right.
he's leading the league in like he's 30 years old and he's going to run for 1,600 yards or something.
I know.
It's crazy. Dex, were you about to say something?
I was trying to figure, like, DeAndre Swift with the Bears, like they grabbed him in free agency, but I don't think they're going to pay a tax to sell him or I don't think the Vikings will pay a tax to grab him from the Bears. I was
The
just trying
Bears
to
think they
of-
can make the playoffs right now.
Yeah. So I was also trying to comb through running backs that could work, but I don't know.
I
I
think-
wouldn't give up more than like a fifth, to Phil's point. I wouldn't
I
give up
agree
more than like a
completely with
fifth
that.
round pick.
Also, like,
Completely.
there's no evidence right now that Aaron Jones is going to be out for a long time. So this is definitely premature panic and speculation. But yeah, like they don't have anyone
panicked.
behind him.
I'm not panicked. I'm simply trying to think like Quasi has to, which is, how do we prepare? How do we prepare for the worst case scenario on things? But yes,
Category-
wrong on Jones. Wrong. Judd was wrong.
When are you guys going to admit that you were wrong?
Tomorrow.
Write that down Wednesday. That's right.
Said it now too. Twice in 2 days. I might get fired by the bosses for this.
You know? And then category 4 here is an offensive line check-in. One of these 5 is not like the other. Let's just kind of go through them. So Christian Darrisaw and Brian O'Neill, your tackles, among 81 qualified offensive tackles so far this year in the NFL. Darrisaw and O'Neill are both top 10 PFF graded offensive tackles overall.
Okay.
They're both top 7 in run blocking. So they're even like they're mauling on the run more than they are even in the pass protection. Just a couple of big, burly football guys.
Getting out there.
Blake Brandel holding his own first year as a starter. So he's slipped a little bit the last couple weeks, but he's currently 34th out of 71 qualified guards on PFF. Only 5 pressures allowed in pass protection all season. So Blake Brandel coming on in, starting at left guard, has just been reliable, just a reliable guy. Garrett Bradbury, similar story to his career where he's been really solid as a run blocker, struggles in pass protection like he has for the majority of his career. He's allowed the second most pressures among all centers. Overall, because he's good in the run blocking category, bad in pass pro, it's kind of a middle-of-the-pack center. That's been his career mostly. Ed Ingram, we need to talk. So this is year 3 for old Ed Ingram. 5 more pressures allowed on Sunday. The second most pressures allowed among all 81 qualified guards. And he has the 3rd lowest pass blocking grade among all 81 guards. And Dalton Reisner is, I would assume, close and ready.
Sounds like it.
I just don't know how much longer at this point. Like, Ed Ingram is not a good... You're trying to win the Super Bowl here. You're 5-0. It's a bye week.
Yeah.
I could see them making a move here on Ed Ingram. That's my take.
Now the problem with that is they opened TJ Hawkinson's 21-day window on Friday. They still haven't opened Reisner's, and I'm not quite sure why. They did say he's close. So yeah, I guess the only question that they might have, if it matters, is Dalton does not have a lot of experience at right guard. But then to your point about Ed Ingram, do you say, well, okay, but he's still not playing well? So that's an interesting conundrum, but I could definitely see a point of frustration where you say everybody else is at least doing sort of their job.
Well, do you
And
throw like a
this dude
Dan
is not.
Feeney in?
I mean, you certainly could. You could certainly give him a try. It's such an interesting dance with him, with Ed too, because it feels like, his rookie year he was awful, and they kept saying he's learning, he's going to learn, and year 2 was improved, but like this year should be really improved. Like,
By the way, he's got 1 year left on his contract
Yeah.
too. So it's like
I know.
you're not committed to
I wonder if
this
you would give Feeney a chance.
just for the mullet and the mustache alone. I think you got to give
Right.
that guy just the
He's a
swag
char-
he would bring to the huddle.
That dude is a character. That dude is a character. But yeah, I mean, something you would think that with where this team is right now, And with the stats, Phil, that you read about Darnold with pressure and without, that the Ingram thing would have to, at some point in time, if it doesn't improve substantially, have to come to an end.
Yeah, and I get in his, like I said, kind of, contractually, you draft a guy, was he a second round pick?
Yeah.
And you draft a guy, you give him a shot as a rookie and whatever. Like some guys struggle as rookies, especially offensive line. And then year 2, he gets better. So I understand progressing with him through year 2. He has regressed in year 3, according to PFF and the analytics. And I don't know if the Vikings would tell a different story with, their scouting grades on these games. But if he has regressed like PFF says he has regressed, and by the way, we've picked nits with PFF and their view on some of these games too. So I'm not saying they've got it 100% right. But if he has regressed and you're trying to win a Super Bowl and he is the weak link along your offensive line, and there's only 1 year left on his rookie scale contract, you're not like committed to seeing this through if he can't hang with one of the best teams in the NFL.
What does Boone say? Because I'm like interior play for like guys like us, I think is so hard unless the guy just gets blasted, right? It's so hard to break down.
Boone's always thought that he's sloppy with his footwork and just he's he doesn't quite get it to the level that some of the other guys at his position do. And he's just, like I said, how much more evidence do you need? Second most pressures. I don't think there's a guard in the NFL that's allowed more pressures than Ed Ingram the last 3 years cumulatively.
Well, probably not.
So, what are we doing here?
What are we doing here? We're self-scouting. We're self-scouting right now. We're saying we got to make some changes.
I mean, we just talked about running back as an offensive guard. Is a lineman something you do address the deadline? I don't know which ones are available though, and that's also hard to like.
I don't think they
quantify.
would.
It's not plug and play.
Yeah.
Running backs, to me, running backs a little more plug and play than a guard.
Most definitely.
Because it's just like it's such a chemistry unit, and it's a bunch of guys in a room that kind of understand what each other are thinking. It's also kind of desperate for a team that's undefeated coming out of the bye week to be trading for a starting guard. I think you got two guys. You got Reisner, you got Feeney. Don't be afraid, Vikings, to try something. And if you put Ed Ingram back in after like week 8, okay, whatever. But there's got to be a better performance there. So, all right, we got more stuff to get to here, but let's first take a trip to Park Dental. Old Macadac found a new dentist. Left town for a couple years, went out west. When I came back, I found out that my great Minneapolis-based dentist had retired. I was devastated. And some friends and coworkers told me about Park Dental. 50 years caring for and cleaning teeth in Minnesota and western Wisconsin. And I don't know, I don't love the dentist. I'll be honest. I don't think a lot of people look forward to scheduling their next dentist appointment, but this was one of the best experiences I've ever had. And it kind of stripped the anxiety away from going back in a few months. So if you're like me, you're looking for a new dentist, you're looking for a better dentist, schedule your checkup at parkdental.com. That's parkdental.com. Also, thank you to Federated Insurance for helping to power Purple Daily as a 365-day-a-year show here. I know there's a bunch of business owners that consume this podcast. We appreciate you guys. If you are a business owner looking for a better offensive line to protect your business, in a sense, that's what Federated brings with their focus on safety, preventing claims. You can find out about the 100-plus year history of Federated and all the sectors and businesses that they support at federatedinsurance.com, where it's our business to protect yours. Let's bring him in here. He's our guy, the most passionate Vikings fan we know. You can find him on Twitter/X, Randy Vikes 69, with his weekly stables, Randy in Cottage Grove. 5-0, Randy.
I know.
What's going on, man?
I called it, didn't I?
You did.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that you've called many losses in your appearances with us over the years.
Well, this is a different. That this season has what they call a different sort of a timbre to it. This team has purpose. But speaking of calling it, I might have to call that dentist. I haven't been to the dentist in 27 years.
What?
27?
27 years?
going
Hold your
on
breath.
28. What's that, Jeff?
That's
Yeah,
Do
Jeff.
you still have all your teeth, Randy?
You can swish. I sometimes keep a little that they call rumpy in the pocket just to swish it out and get good fresh feelings going.
Rumpy.
But my issue with the anything in the medical setting is it just gets expensive, and I have as you know a chronic condition that more often than not I end up hitting the doctor in an emergency sort of setting with my tinea cruris, and
Mm.
that takes a
Yeah.
dent out of the wallet. Doesn't leave a lot of money for my teeth, but
Wait,
that place looks
wait.
inviting.
So you haven't gone to the dentist in 27 years because you spend so much money on your jock itch condition?
Tinea cruris it's an actual medical
Yeah.
designation condition,
Yep.
Yeah,
and it's
I'm just trying to clarify. I just, just asking
well
the
you
questions.
it's you I would rather deal with a toothache than not be able to bowl, not be able to coach softball or catch if I need to in a pinch. It's hard to bend. You've had it. Most guys have it. I deal with it in a chronic setting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry. I didn't know that it was chronic for some guys. I mean, everyone's got their own battle that they're going through. And so,
I'm a survivor of it, and those in the community who know, we know, and I just wish everyone dealing with it the best of luck because it's a battle that we fight in silence, and so sometimes people don't acknowledge that. So to those fellas out there who are dealing, some ladies have it too, but mostly guys, and if you're dealing with it, my heart goes out.
yeah, it's well said, Randy.
I'm touched, Randy. I'm
That's
touched.
really well said. Yeah. So, do you want to do a stud stable here, Randy?
Yeah, I got up early for that one. The bar opened at 6:30, and we got things we got things rolling. By the time they kicked off,
Oh
we
boy.
were as they say making our way across the Atlantic from a buzz standpoint, and it was a good one. We were loud, we were rowdy, and this was a quality victory. And we got Robert Salea fired, which is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, how about that guy? That Robert Salea, man. Better update
Yep.
your LinkedIn profile, buddy,
Van
because
Jinkles got him fired, Randy.
He did. He's going to be in the stable, so buckle up.
All right.
let's go, dude. All right, well, this is a week 5 stud stable from Randy in Cottage Grove. Randy Vikes, 69.
You're going to be they're going to be talking about this victory for a while as the one that put the Vikings, put us, as they say, on the map. 5-0 is no fluke. And a lot of people say, well, can they beat the Chiefs? We're going to find out. We're going to find out in February. But right now, we're focused on 5-0 and beating the Jets in jolly old England, London. And that first number guy who's going to go in the stable this week, he's been here a while. He's a little long in the tooth, but he still got it. He still got it, and he got a sack that made us all snug. We got, of course, with the bar. I celebrate games that we do the Yags shots for sacks, and that was a special one. It was Harrison Smith. Harrison, you've seen old number 12 in your crosshairs a number of times, and you did what you always do, and you punished him. And it's great to have you back, both on this team and now today in the stable because you're a stud.
The Hitman doing the title belt celebration
That's
to
good.
mocking
Yeah,
Aaron
remember that,
Rodgers
huh?
while he writhed around in
How
pain.
about that?
That game had a lot of. It shouldn't have been as close as it seemed. Offense could have sputtered a bit. Hoping Aaron Jones is going to be all right. And if not, I'd call Adrian Peterson. That's just my sentimental advice for Quezzy.
Yeah, I guess
But,
we hadn't
Oh,
thrown him out as an option, Judd.
how old is he now?
He's still got it. I've seen some videos people have been sharing around, and he can still juke.
Could use the money.
But right now we're focused on that win, and the number 2 stud in this stable, and this is a guy who I absolutely, when we picked him up late in free agency, right before the season, a lot of people said he still got it. Still got it. Yeah, he does still got it, and he sealed that deal. And that's Stephen Gilmore. Stephen, you went out and you got right on that ball. Fell on, just grabbed it, didn't get cute, try to run it, try to do just go down, game's over. and interceptions have become kind of a calling card of this defense. And Stephen Gilmore this week, you're a stud.
Well, Steve-O.
I call him Stevie. I'm close
Stevie.
to him, so I call him Stevie. Hey, Stevie.
KO calls him Gilly.
Gilly, I like that too, yeah.
Old
And
Gilly.
finally, here's a guy. I don't know what can be said about him that's not been said. They said he's what they call positionless. He just put him wherever you want to put him, move him around wherever you want to move him around, and he'll deliver. He will deliver big plays. Now he's got more touchdowns than a lot of number one receivers have, and this is the guy who he's just such a perfect fit. It makes us so snug watching him fly around. Is he going to blitz? Is he not going to blitz? He's going to back up, jump forward, jump that route from Rodgers, tipped the ball to himself and took it to the house. And that's Andrew Van Ginkels. Andrew, you are just a revelation on this team. And a guy with 2 pick sixes across 5 games. You kidding me? Van Ginkels, you keeping us applied with all those interception shots and then the purple shooter shots for the tutty. That's twice now. And it's great. And we owe you big time, but you're going to keep it going. We're going to take this bye and rest up. We'll come back and just hit it hard again. But right now, Van Ginkels, you enjoy. Put your feet up. Look in the mirror, because you know what you're going to see? You're going to see a stud.
Yeah.
Oh, love it.
There he goes.
Love it. You know what?
He's gone.
I feel like Van Ginkels would fit right in with his look and long hair at the bar with Randy and his friends. Don't you guys?
I feel like Van
Feel like
Ginkels
he'd
is
fit
a
in.
little classier than that. I think he's classier than he looks.
Oh, he
Van
might be,
Ginkels.
but I'm just
He looks
saying.
like a wrestler. I mean, he looks like he
Yeah.
should be on AEW or WWE.
Yeah. I just think
Yeah.
he'd fit in.
What was that line about? We were headed headed
over the
across the
Atlantic?
Atlantic Ocean when
Yeah,
it came to our buzz.
I've never heard that
8:30
one.
in the morning.
Well, because it was invented today, Declan. That's why you
Okay,
haven't heard that
interesting.
one.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Let's do a few minutes on the PFF grades here, gentlemen. Let's go over to the defense from this game. And Judd, rather than you trying to, because we talk about these on Monday and Tuesday, so I might throw a couple quiz questions at you just to test JFF versus PFF. But so I'll give you a couple quiz questions and I'll give you some other facts. Who do you think was the highest? Who are? Give me the 2 highest graded defensive players. We'll give you a couple strikes.
Van Ginkels has to be one of them.
Van Ginkels. He was the number 1 graded defensive player. 3 pressures, a pick 6, a stop tackle.
What a game. What a game. You know who I saw a lot in Rogers' kitchen? Ivan Pace.
2nd highest graded defensive player. 79.2. I believe he also blew up a run play
Yes.
aggressively, like a 5-yard loss.
Yes. The Jets. I saw a breakdown. It might have been Baldy. Decided not to block.
Oh
him.
yeah.
Like they went to the wrong guy. They blocked
It was
the wrong
weird.
guy.
Yeah, the left guard. So what was supposed to happen there is it was like a duo concept where the center and the left guard are doubling the tackle up to the linebacker. But when the linebacker shoves his face before the snap up in the gap, it means that you got to block him.
Right.
And Aaron Rodgers looked over with palms up too, like, really? What are we doing here? So Dallas Turner still only played 13 snaps, was the 3rd highest graded player, even though he didn't register any pressures. He was involved in a couple of tackles. He's just been kind of quiet through 5 games.
He's barely played since he came back. I feel like he's been back for 2 games, right? I think he missed,
very limited snaps.
Yeah, he has not played much. So
I would say another standout highlight here is Jonathan Grenard racked up. He didn't have a sack, but he racked up 7 more pressures. He was right in the kitchen of Rodgers a couple times on where other guys might get the hit or Rodgers would throw an errant pass. So he's been, in fact, I think he's still top 3 in overall pressures. He's not the overall edge guy, like in terms of everything that Max Crosby and Myles Garrett, some of these guys are, but in terms of just pressures, getting after the quarterback, Aiden Hutchinson, with 1 fewer game, by the way, Aiden Hutchinson has 40 pressures. Jonathan Grenard, number 2 in the NFL with 29 pressures through 5 games.
Very nice.
Grenard changes games without it being flashy.
Yeah, he's just
But that's the whole
It's
thing.
just there, man.
Like Zim talked about this in 2014 when he came here, and Flores has too. We are far too in love with sacks. Like we think, oh man, you got to get sacks to be. Pressures are far more important because that's what forces mistakes. So like we fall in love with the overall sack statistic when the reality is defensive coordinators are as pleased with pressures as sacks, I think.
Yeah, and like obviously a sack can derail a drive, and you want sacks,
Sure.
but the heartbeat of the pass rush is moving quarterbacks off their spot and
Yeah.
just making it uncomfortable. And so
Bad throws.
generally, if a guy or a team are generating a lot of pressures, even though the sacks might not always come, you're disrupting. It's kind of like in baseball. If you just hit line drive, put the ball in play and hit line drives,
Yep.
it's gonna at some point you're gonna be a good offense.
But Grenard and Van Jinkels have been unbelievable.
They've been great. And maybe Dallas Turner joins the party at some point. Okay, on the offensive side, Brian O'Neill was the highest graded offensive player for the Vikings in this one. Aaron Jones, in only 16 snaps, was the second highest graded. And then CJ Ham, the ham bone,
That's touchdown.
The
scoring a
hamster.
touchdown.
The only offensive touchdown of the day for the purple came from
Getting,
CJ.
Matthew McConaughey shout out. You guys have obviously seen those commercials, right?
Yes. Ham.
What CJ Ham?
Yeah, well, with McConaughey mentioning CJ Ham by name. Pretty great.
No. Ed Ingram, the lowest by far graded offensive player, 39 or 36. Sam Darnold, the second lowest graded offensive player, and then Ty Chandler was the third lowest graded offensive player.
I think
So
this
those
week
are-
I agree. I don't think you've read one where I object. First time all season long, but I think those offensive top three and bottom three, 100%.
When Sam Darnold was pressured, he was 1 for 9 for 5 yards in this game. Really rough.
Yeah.
When he was blitzed, he was 3 for 9 for 39 yards. So he's been okay against the blitz for the most part this year, but just kind of rough. And then when the Vikings did not run play action, he was just 8 of 19 for 89 yards and a pick. So
Yep.
yeah, it's keep him clean, run play action, run those concepts, and
Play action with Jones is the best because
Yeah.
I think that makes you, because you don't know what he's going to do exactly. That comes back to Jones being, just by his presence on the field, being a difference maker for the entire offensive production.
Yep. So any other just PFF questions off that game that you want me to?
Where did
To answer
Jefferson
for
end up? Because I think he was probably charged with a couple of drops.
Let's see here.
I'm not sure.
Overall, it was kind of a meh game. He was a 63.6 grade. Let me see if they if they dinged him for a drop. They gave him one drop.
Okay.
They gave him one drop.
Yeah. I'm not faulting him. Believe me, Justin, I'm not faulting you. You do great things out there, baby. But yeah, that was, well, and Darnold was off target at times. That's the thing is, I guess my question is this, and I know it was drizzling during part of the game, but some of the off target shots really surprised me.
Yeah, it's also like you said, it's London, it's travel. He got smoked in the first quarter. It's
Couldn't
hard
sleep.
to like
He didn't sleep for 3 days.
his body clock. I'm making all the excuses
Yeah,
here.
body
You're
clock was-
seeing actual ghosts because it's London. It's kind of creepy, you know.
Guinness. Too much Guinness the night before.
Before we go, Nicolay Law is the exclusive personal injury law firm of Purple Daily. Nicolay Law knows that when you or a loved one gets injured, ordinary life can come to a stop. Things can get complicated. And that's where Russell Nicolay and his wonderful team, locally based team, is here to help you get the compensation you deserve after an accident. So we appreciate Nicolay Law's support of Purple Daily, helping to keep this a 365-day-a-year show. And they're here to support you if you or a loved one has been injured. So go to nicolaylaw.com or give them a call at 1-855-NICOLAY. All right, dudes. And then the Padres event, it's filling up. So if you want to join us Monday, October 21st from 5 to 7 p.m. for a Purple Daily Unplugged podcast and get a free pint of Padres, Go to scorenorth.com / is it register? Let me pull it up here. Scorenorth.com, or is it unplugged? I should have had that up. Unplugged. Scorenorth.com / unplugged. Scorenorth.com / unplugged. It's free to get in, but we do ask that you have a ticket if you want to hang with the sports dad and his band of a cappella unplugged singers. Should be a fun setting. So, all right, boys, there's your state of the offense. We got Write That Down coming up tomorrow. We will have Judd's practice notes at some point. It's a bye week, so we'll sprinkle in something.
They're off all week long. I think they reconvene on Monday.
Okay.
Off Tuesday, off the following Tuesday, and then get back to work on Wednesday for what should be a fun game. The Lion. I don't remember the last time I said I am really looking forward to the Lions game, but I'm really looking forward to the Lions game.
I saw Fornell write about it. Is there a chance that gets flexed? Because the Sunday night game is, I know if it's protected, we can't do anything about it.
Can we flex already?
I think so.
Yes, NBC Sunday night. The Monday night flex and the Thursday night flex, which there is such a thing, is later in the season. NBC could flex. I think it's 14 days out right now, though. And
it's
I think
Jets Steelers.
Yeah, and I think I think the issue is I think they can only flex 3 times before like December.
Okay.
Jets Steelers, while it sounds crappy, as it was pointed out to me when I asked this question of a great football mind, he said it's the Jets, and that's a big market. He said they usually don't flex out of New York.
Okay. That makes sense.
Probably not, but I'm still. Oh, and the Fox national game at 3:15, which also would make sense to bump the Vikings into against Detroit, is the Chiefs. Okay. So they're not going to bail on the Chiefs. So I think we're stuck at noon, but I'm okay with that.
Maybe we get our guy. Is Kenny Albert gonna do another Lions Vikings game for that one?
So it won't be. Yeah, the number one.
Jonathan Vilma, who hasn't prepped a single minute for this entire week.
You got to send the number 2 team here, right, on Fox?
I would hope so for that game. That's a legit game. A little Greg Olson action.
Yeah, who's
super fun.
Great.
Yeah.
TB is I'm not loving TB.
Well, it's I don't know. It's tough
Greg
to just
Olson's great.
jump in and be awesome at that job. I think he's gonna figure out a way to be a little bit less rigid. But anyhow, all right, we got to run. This is Purple Daily Vikings Entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.